Welcome to Harry Potter and the Anxious Millennials, a show where we delve week by week into each chapter of the Harry Potter series.
Hello, welcome back. Here we are.
Guess who's back in the house?
It's clacking about. Fine, fresh, feminine. Well, no more pussyfooting around. This week, we read chapter 27 called Padfoot Returns.
Pussyfoot Returns.
Yeah, I was like, Padfooting around. Adam, what happens in this very eventful, very exciting, very necessary chapter?
Harry sees Sirius again, and he tells him the backstory of Barty Crouch, period.
Barty Crouch. Bartemius.
Bartemius.
Great.
But it doesn't start there, shockingly. It starts with...
That's not where we begin.
That's not where we begin. We begin with Ron really feeling his oats, really living the moment. If you may remember a few chapters ago, Ron was very upset that Harry was the Triwizard Champion because he was like jealous that Harry was, for the first time ever at Hogwarts, getting attention. Huge.
Oh yeah, never before.
Never before has this happened.
One time too many for Ron. You know?
I don't remember Ron having this reaction when everybody thought that Harry was the heir of Slytherin, so that's weird. But anyway, so Ron, everybody's like, so the story goes, we learn in this chapter, is that Dumbledore gathered them in Professor McGonagall's office and was like, I'm going to put a sleeping enchantment on you, and you're going to go to sleep. And then when you come back up to the surface of the lake, that's the next time you'll wake up. So you don't have anything to worry about. This is the same man who fixed the Goblet of Fire. I just want to...
Right.
I just thought questions.
And I'm just like...
Questions. So that's the real story. But Ron has morphed it into that he was dragged down to the Black Lake by 50 merpeople as he was fighting them off of him. To which at one point, I think it's Parvati, is like shocked by this story and like living for it. And he's like exaggerating or whatever. And then Hermione is like, yeah, he was like, I had to fight them off of me. And she was like, Hermione was like, what were you going to do? Snore at them? And then he was like, okay, well, I've now taken it too far. So I'm going to go back to the original story.
I'll go back to the original, I guess. Which is so weird. Like, well, fine, whatever.
Yeah.
You're going to be like, well, actually.
I lied. Actually, I lied.
Yeah. Actually, I didn't fight them off. I was actually asleep.
I was dead at the time.
I was dead at the time. I wasn't even awake.
So then we find out that people have been, making fun of Hermione because it's very funny that Victor Crumb, she was the thing that Victor Crumb would have missed the most.
How funny.
Do you think... I'm trying to think of high school, right? And I'm trying to think if a girl who people in general thought was like very nerdy, if all of a sudden the hottest kid at school like was clearly into her, liked her, blah, blah, blah. Do you think, I guess maybe there would be this like negative campaign against her. But it feels...
Yes, there definitely would be.
Yeah, that's true.
Unfortunately.
At first, when I thought of it, I was like, wouldn't everybody be like, oh, I guess I was wrong about Hermione? No, that's not true. That's not how it works.
No, and especially because it's Joe that's writing it.
Oh, well, true.
People can't be in favor of this happening for an intelligent young woman. No, absolutely not. We've all got to be catty about it.
Yeah. So, anyway...
but no, it's at this age group, definitely, it's the whole, like,
Stay in your lane.
She's not even that pretty. I mean, she's not, like that. Mm-hmm. Those are the remarks you hear. Unfortunately, it's very immature.
So they get an owl. It's very windy at Hogwarts. There's a whole paragraph about how fucking windy it is, and it's not interesting, but it's very windy.
Could be the summary of this chapter. It's not interesting.
It's not interesting. So they get an owl during Owl Post from Sirius, and it says to meet him at the end of the road by Dervish and Bang. What is it? Dervish and Bangs? Skirmish and
Bangs.
Dervish and
Dermish.
Dermish?
Dursley and Bangers.
Bangers and Mash. At the end of the lane by Bangers and Mash.
Yeah.
In Hogsmeade. On their next outing to Hogsmeade. So Harry's, nervous that obviously Sirius is probably back in Hogsmeade, but also excited, to see him again, which is very sweet.
Yeah. Yeah, you were just so pixelated, I couldn't see anything, actually. You come from out of the screen.
Yeah, you were just super frozen. So anyway, okay. So she's like questioning all these things, and then Snape comes up behind them. And he's like, are we talking about our social lives? And that's not Snape's voice. I can't do a good Alan Rickman, so I'm not going to try.
Do you know who that was? That was the Bloody Baron once again, which I'm here for. The Bloody Baron, Pansy Parkinson. Both. It's like Mr. G's room, but you're up.
Hogwarts Heights High.
Yes, Hogwarts Heights High. Exactly. Love it.
But he comes up and he takes the magazine from them. First, he deducts 10 points for Hermione Granger talking. Then he deducts 10 points for them reading a magazine. Then he detox. D to the E to the T to the O to the X.
Detox.
He deducts 10 points for them reading a magazine in class, which obviously they shouldn't be doing. And then he proceeds to, you guessed it, read the whole article out loud to the class. Why is he like this? Why is he like this? Why is he like this? Why is he like this?
He has not gotten over the childhood grudge. First off, I'm trying to think, like, even if there was a kid, I'm trying, like, let's say it's someone that we, like, could not stand in high school. And then I found out that they had a child, that they and their spouse died, but they had a child that was, like, outliving them, basically, that was still alive. And then I was their teacher. Even if I hated their parents, there is no way I would look at that child and be like, damn it. Damn you child. I'm like, first off, you didn't even know them. You don't even know, you didn't even know your parents.
Because again, you're not inherently a bad person, which time and time again, she tells us that she shows us that Snape is not a good person. She shows us that Snape is not a good person. Yeah. And then at the end of the series tries to be like, but he was a hero. Girl.
I know. It does not work. Doesn't work.
Menstruating person. Stop it.
It's fine. It's fine to have a twist in that way. But this idea that the fact that Harry names his child,
it's psycho.
Albus Severus.
It's so bad.
No! I'm sorry. No!
I'm going to say he shouldn't even be named Albus, to be honest. He should be named Rubius Hagrid.
Albus, I understand more because of how Harry feels about Albus. Also, I'm sorry, you're not going to let Ginny, who birthed these babies, choose a damn name? Maybe Ginny wanted to name one of them Barbara. Why can't one of them be Barbara Ann?
Is one of them serious?
Barbara Ann.
It was Ginny's favorite Muggle song.
I I really didn't even mean to say Barbara Ann. It's like there's a song called Barbara Ann. Oh my God. I don't know what's going on with me. I think I'm really tired.
I don't know what I was saying.
I don't know either. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I just don't care about this chapter.
No, I know it's not. It's not great.
Happens in it.
So anyway, Snape does this whole thing. He performs. He does his typical routine, his little song and dance of hating children, which is psychotic. Yeah, don't be a teacher. What are you doing?
He's like the male Miss Trudgeful.
Yes, but she's miserable. The villain.
Yes, and he ends up being the hero in the end, supposedly.
Yeah, psycho. So he tells them that they can't be doing this or whatever. So he makes them all like split up and sit with different people. Mm-hmm. He makes Hermione go sit with Pansy Parkinson, and I was like, shut up, like, ugh. Anyway, and then Harry has to go sit in the very front, right by his desk, little teacher's pet desk. And so he comes up. This is an unhinged conversation.
Oh yeah, that this man
has. He comes up to Harry and he's like, "You fucking think that rules don't fucking apply to you, you little horse shit piece of crap." And I'm here to tell you that they do. And Harry's like, "Okay, girl, like,
yeah,
get a grip. You're psycho." Girl, and he's like,
"Take a seat."
I fucking know that you took boomslang skin and gillyweed out of my goddamn closet. And Harry in his mind is like, I mean, technically I didn't. It wasn't me. It was Hermione in the second year, and it was Dobby this year. And obviously Snape is bringing up boomslang skin because he has a really good memory. But obviously Harry doesn't say any of that, and he's like, "No, I didn't do." He truthfully says, "I did not take those things from your closet," without putting the emphasis on "I."
Yeah.
And then Snape's like, "Well, if I ever catch you, I'm gonna." Do you know what this is? Oh, he pulls out a vial. Sorry, this your favorite item in the wizarding world. He pulls out a vial of something called Veritaserum, which we are to find out is the most powerful truth-telling antidote or potion, whatever, in the wizarding world. And it is so strong, in fact, that it is regulated by the Ministry of Magic. Knowing the Ministry of Magic, it's probably not regulated well, to be honest.
For real? I was like, that means nothing at this point.
Means nothing.
That means nothing.
Did he have to, like, shouldn't it be, if we're talking regulation, right? Are we talking has to be locked up so nobody can get to it? Are we like, why is he just carrying it around? Does it have to be, do you have to like register that you made a batch? Like,
yeah, he can make it whenever, because we learned that when Umbridge comes into the picture, that he can just make it.
I'd also ponder why we have to regulate something that just makes you tell the truth. I don't know. That seems weird to me.
Yeah, you can't let that get out there. But love potions, totally fine.
Right. Totally fine, and nothing bad ever happens from love potions.
Yeah, it's super ethical, you know?
It's super ethical, and it's not like the offspring of a love potion would produce the worst witch or wizard history's ever seen.
Yeah, no, never.
It's good to remember that. So I just find we have a long way to go with Veritaserum through this book. So we're not going to get into it here. And the next book.
Is it just like someone needs to give you the okay and then you can use it?
We'll never know. But it's crazy that it exists. And it's, really lucky that, we learn about it now in this book. And he doesn't pull it out in a weird fashion out of nowhere. But basically he tells Harry that if he even thinks that he's lying to him, he will put some drops in his pumpkin juice at breakfast, and Harry will be, spilling the beans on everything.
No one's gonna think it's weird that you're running around you're lurking around the Gryffindor table in the Great
reaching
Hall.
over their drinks.
Weird.
Reaching what?
Yeah, sorry. To a minor, an underage kid too. Like, no.
So anyway, my next note is this man is psychotic. I'm going to give
Correct.
you one guess as to who we're talking about.
Oh.
But speaking of psycho people, Karkaroff shows up.
Yeah.
And he's like, I have to talk to you. And Severus is like, we're not doing this here. I'm literally teaching a class right now. What are you talking about? And he was like, you can't evade me. I know you've been evading me. So I'm going to wait here till the end of the class and then we're going to have a talk. And Severus is like,
do you think that Karkaroff and Snape were buddies before? Yeah, with his teeth. Yeah. Were him and Snape like buddies when they were Death Eaters together? Like,
no, because Snape's never had a friend. So
it's just weird to me. Like, even if he was, I don't know. Supposedly there were a bunch of Death Eaters, right? And like Karkaroff is in Bulgaria. Like, how would they have been friends? Is it just he's literally just trying to talk to him because he's like, well, yeah, sure. He's the only other Death Eater that Karkaroff is like in contact with, basically.
I guess.
I don't know.
So anyway, the class ends and Karkaroff shows his forearm to Snape. And Snape is like, put that away. And Karkaroff is like, it's getting stronger, girly. I've never seen it this strong.
Stronger than yesterday.
And Snape's like, get out of my class. Harry, why are you still here? And Harry's like, oh, I just spilled. I'm so sorry. It was just sopping up some amino acids or whatever. And then he leaves.
Sorry, dropped my supplement.
Yeah. My protein shake spilled because he's a jock.
Yeah, he's a jock.
And then we cut to like Hogsmeade. Like, there's no discussion of what it means. They just like go to Hogsmeade.
Yeah, right? Wait, yes.
It's very strange.
And now we're in Hogsmeade.
And so I do like closing the circle on this. They go to the wizarding like clothing store. And they are buying Dobby socks.
Yeah, they did it. This was the one note I had, that they did end up getting him socks.
Note in the chapter.
They were very, very exciting socks. So good on them. They did.
They were exciting socks.
Yeah.
Did he ever give it to him? Who knows? But we have to assume. We'll assume in good faith that they did end up giving the socks to Dobby.
Right.
So they go to the end of the street when the time Sirius had said comes up. So they see a big black shaggy dog at the end of the street. And they're like, hello. So they follow him up and immediately climb a mountain. I was like, oh, okay. We're in a valley, I guess. All of a sudden we learned that.
Gotta go up this mountain.
They literally in the book, they climb a mountain for 30 minutes. Okay. I just want you to think about this. They climb a mountain for 30 minutes. And then they go into this, Sirius leads them into this cave where Bucky is. Buckbeak.
Bucky Barnes.
Bucky Barnes. He's got his big fake
Bucky
arm.
Barnes and Cap. Just hanging out.
And Sirius turns back into a human. Whatever. He's very excited to see them. They've brought him some chicken so he can eat some real food. He reveals that he's been living off of rats. Do you think it's he says it's because obviously he can't steal a bunch of food. Do you think it's also like he's just trying to eat any rat because it could be Peter Pettigrew?
No, I didn't think about that, but that's funny. He's like, die, bitch.
Just in case. Eating rats can't be good for you, right? He's still a human being. This is what I don't understand about Anime Guy, right?
Yeah.
Is he cooking the rats? Is he eating them raw as a dog? Like,
He has to be. It has to be as a dog.
Do you wait? Does your whole biology change so that like you maybe have a stronger stomach? Do you wait for the rat to pass through and then you turn back into a human? Has he just been a dog for months? We'll never know.
I don't know.
So then we get into the fact that he has a bunch of Daily Prophet newspapers because he's been keeping up with the times. You got to keep abreast of the situation.
Even though he's on the run, he's still a hoarder.
Right. He still needs his cup of joe and morning coffee and newspaper.
And rat. It probably looks like when there's someone that like they open up their closet and it's revealed that there's like all these like newspaper clippings and like the red
yes, the string
and stuff. That's probably what it looks like in the cave, like as best he could get it.
It's very
He's just, like, trying to keep track of everything.
So they see the story in the Daily Prophet, and it talks about how Barty Crouch hasn't been well. Side note, there's a story about how Bertha Jorkins is still missing and now the Minister of Magic is involved. But that's a separate story. Barty Crouch hasn't been seen for months. But he's apparently working and, you know, it's fine. And apparently the wizarding community just doesn't question anything ever. So
I guess not.
So then Hermione's like, well, I know why he's sad. It's because he doesn't have a slave anymore. He sacked Winky, and that's why he's upset, because he realizes how hard it is to live without help.
Yeah, he realized he fucked up, and she was really making his life a lot more cushy.
Yeah. And Ron keeps arguing with her.
Why?
And is like, because we can't get off the train that Ron is like pro
slavery. Pro slavery, Ronald Weasley.
Yeah, Confederate soldier Ronald Weasley. Yeah.
Holding the Confederate flag.
Jesus.
Confederate flag above his bed.
This is psycho.
It doesn't
He's pro house elf.
It doesn't make sense in any like other bit of his personality.
So they're arguing and Sirius butts in and is like, no, Hermione may have a point. And then he says this quote, which on face value is a great quote, and I'm going to read it to you. Ron, if you want to know what a man's like, take a good look at how he treats his inferiors, not his equals. Face value, good quote. You know what's embedded in there is the idea, the inherent implication that house elves are naturally inferior to humans.
Yep.
Cool.
It's like,
plus. Good job, everybody. So this is when it's revealed that Crouch actually is the one who sent Sirius Black to Azkaban without a trial. It's hard for me to read these books and be surprised anymore, except for things that I truly forget about. But like this one, I was like, why are they so shocked that he went to prison without a trial? He would have. The wizarding community doesn't seem like they care about justice in any way, shape, or form. And also, he had been accused of killing like 20 people. So, of course, they were just going to be like, cart his ass off to fucking the island in the middle of the sea. So we find out that Barty Crouch used to be the head while Voldemort was in power. He used to be the head of the Department of Magical Law Enforcement, which is probably the head of the R's, basically.
Who is that now? We don't know who it is. We don't know who's in that
in the
role
Wizarding
now.
World.
Oh no, no, it would be Kingsley Shacklebolt, isn't it?
Maybe.
Isn't it Kingsley?
I don't remember. What his title is in the Ministry. It's probably Kingsley Shacklebolt, a name that we will grapple with later. But
God, I can't even get there yet.
So, yes, used to be the head of the Department of Medical Law Enforcement, but he was like crazy. He basically fought violence with violence. He like made it. Okay, so he was like, 1, Aurors can kill people. We're doing that now. We can't just capture them. We're just killing them. This is very geopolitical, but the last president of the Philippines, Duterte, he did this war on drugs, and he was like, he allowed them to like be killed. Like if you found people with drugs, you could just like shoot them for having drugs.
Oh my God.
Crazy. So that's cool.
That's crazy.
And then he also was like, also if we're if we want to get information out of a suspect, right? I think it's cool if we use the unforgivable court curses on them. I think we're allowed to do that. But they're not allowed to do
it's
that.
Okay for us.
Yeah. Cool.
This is all very ACAB.
Very ACAB. And then Sirius tries to be like, the wizarding community everybody was so frightened because Voldemort had so much power. You didn't know who to trust. And it definitely was like, it's a good, I think it is like a good example of like when things are really chaotic, people who are ruthless seem to get a lot of power because they seem to be the only stabilizing force that's counteracting what's the chaos that's going on.
Yeah.
Whether good or bad, that's typically what happens. And so he like tells them all this, and then he's also like, and then everybody wanted him to run for minister, and he was going to run for minister. He was going to be the girl, get the career, secure the bag. But then a bunch of Death Eaters were caught his son was caught. I'm going to read the sentence to you.
Yeah.
And you tell me how this makes sense. His son was caught with a group of Death Eaters who managed to talk their way out of Azkaban.
As in, like, they never went there in the first place? Like,
I read it as they, like, escaped Azkaban. But I guess you would have written escaped. But, like...
No, because he never went to Azkaban in the first place.
So it's saying... So his son was caught with this group of people.
Yeah.
And they all managed to like maybe name other people to not go to Azkaban, or say that, like,
I guess, yeah. Which
very Karkaroff energy.
But that doesn't really make sense because of Bellatrix Lestrange being in this mix. She is very like, I am Voldemort's servant. I am his right hand, and I will tell everyone that I want him. Like, she just is so...
Yeah, it doesn't make sense, especially because we've already learned that he's, like, throwing people in prison without trial. So if you catch a group of Death Eaters, and one of them's your son, and you throw your son straight to prison, we find out this is what he did. He throws his son in prison. He let everybody else go?
There was just another way of saying that.
It was weird.
Like,
I was confused, so that's why I brought it up.
And then it was revealed that his son was involved with Death Eaters, or his son was caught with a group of Death Eaters. Like,
yeah, because we never even.
Detail. No,
yeah,
I don't need the detail. They talked their way out of Azkaban. Like, there was evidence that found he was involved with Death Eaters.
Yeah.
Just say that.
He was brought to trial for being with Death Eaters, whatever.
Yeah.
So anyway, at first I thought it was like Sirius had to turn into a dog to escape Azkaban, but these people just talked their way out. They said,
yeah, right. No.
Come here.
That would be even worse. That's kind of what it sounds like. Hey,
that's what it sounded like to me when I was like quickly reading.
It's like, it's not the vibe in there for me. I don't think it really, I don't like the aesthetic.
Come here, Dementi. Come here.
Dementi. Is it your break? Are you on break?
I'm not loving this energy, I have to say. I'm thinking like at the very least a throw blanket. Because like
Come
this
on,
is giving
a creamy
this is giving
throw.
this isn't even giving chili girl. This is giving frosty. And I'm not talking Wendy's, honey.
I'm not talking Wendy's.
So anyway, then we find out. So obviously Sirius was in Azkaban at this time. So he says that his son went to Azkaban. He sent him straight to Azkaban. He died in prison. He died in prison. And they're like, how did he die in prison? Because famously Dementors don't kill. And he was like, he just lost the will to live. Basically, a lot of people do it. They go crazy, they lose the will to live, and then they just waste away and die. And he was like, funny story. I actually saw Barty Crouch come with his wife to visit his son. And they went right before he died. He was, they went to his cell. They saw him, gave him his last rites, prayed over him, whatever they did. And then
whatever it was,
they left. And I saw them leave. And the wife was, so distraught that she was like hunched over. She was giving like absolutely no face to the camera. Yeah, he was carrying her out. She was like, wrapped up in a turtleneck, honey, had like glasses on, a mask, just all this crazy stuff because we find out also was like super sick. And she died of a broken heart like 2 weeks later. And it's just like, what a crazy world, and not suspicious.
Not suspicious at all.
No one's suspicious.
No.
Interesting. I think we should all just keep that in the back of our mind.
Interesting. Very interesting. Yes.
But then like at this point, I think Voldemort had like, he was done. He was through. Harry had defeated her.
Yeah.
And public opinion had started to sway, and it was like, well, maybe his son was like, maybe it wasn't his son's entire fault because he's like 19 when he dies. So he probably was like maybe 17 or like 16. Like he had to be like a teenager when he went to prison. And so they were like, maybe it's because Barty was so like ambitious that he sent his, like, maybe that's why it's all Barty's fault that his son turned out the way he did. And he should have been a better father, blah, 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 blah. And then Cornelius Fudge becomes Minister of Magic, and Barty Crouch becomes head of magical cooperation, which is, again, not a real office.
I'm sorry, wasn't Dumbledore supposed to become Minister of Magic, and then Fudge became...
half the characters mentioned in this whole book series have been like, oh, they are going to be Minister of Magic.
I was like, what are we doing? What are we doing?
But it is funny because I think about it from an American's perspective, where we have like term limits and we have like every 4 years, where like the prime minister situation, as we have just re-seen with Boris Johnson, but like,
this is when they get tired of them.
If you watch The Crown, the way that Elizabeth has gone through like 42 prime ministers in her reign as queen is crazy. Because they're just like, I'm tired of it. I'm resigning. I'm not the girl for you. Maggie Thatcher's the only one who was like, I will do this until they shoot me out of here in a cannon.
And they almost did.
So anyway, back to the story. Okay, then we just go into like Snape's backstory. I don't know. There was like a through line.
Have friends, supposedly.
Yes,
he had
we learned that
little creepy friends that he hung out with.
Little creepy friends. So yeah, we just find out that like, because Sirius is putting the puzzle together. He's trying to put the puzzle together.
Yeah.
He's like, Winky was at the Quidditch World Cup. Very interesting. There was nobody in the seat. The wand got stolen. We're it's all coming together.
Putting it together.
And then they're trying to like figure out who may be behind everything. And Ron, of course, brings up Snape. And so Sirius is like, well, Snape, funny story, was an oily, greasy-haired kid. Which we love to bring up. I love that
Harry and Ron are like, when he starts talking about it too. They're like, oh yeah.
You know, Hermione goes, Dumbledore trusts Snape. She likes to remind us of this. Dumbledore trusts Snape. Snape wouldn't be here if Dumbledore didn't trust him. So we should be able to trust Snape because Dumbledore trusts him.
Yeah.
The transitive law of equality.
Please hold.
What is this chapter? What the fuck is this chapter?
I don't know.
Okay, I'm trying to like specify what happens in this conversation, but here's what happens.
Nothing really happens.
Nothing happens in the conversation. I'm trying to like pad time.
Nothing really happens.
Nothing happens. They do reveal that Karkaroff visited Snape during potions, and they talk about how Moody probably checked everything when he got to Hogwarts.
Yeah.
And Moody was one of the good Aurors where he didn't say he didn't. No.
Oh, unless he had to.
Unless he had to.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
I'm sure that is true, though. I'm sure Moody was, one of the people that was like, no, let's do it the right way. Let's get people into jail, not just going around.
And Arri is saying there are good cops.
People. That is not what I'm saying.
There are Moody's in the world.
I don't think about the Aurors as cops really so much. I think of them as like FBI or like MI6 when I think of Aurors.
CIA.
Secret agents. CIA. Yeah.
Yeah. But then that's pretty much it. And so then they leave.
Yeah. This fucking chapter.
And they go back to school and Ron is like, that kind of sounds like Percy. Kind of sounds like Percy's really, Percy reminds me a lot of Crouch. He's really ambitious. And Hermione's like, Percy wouldn't send you to Azkaban. I want to be very clear about that.
But Ron is
Stay tuned.
I don't know. Ron's like.
But before they go, Sirius is like, you should reach out to your brother and find out, like, when was the last time he saw Crouch?
Yeah.
And also, what's going on with the Bertha Jorkins situation? Yeah. Because Bertha, Sirius remembers her from school because everybody just went to school at the same time together.
Apparently.
So Bertha Jorkins in school just like couldn't keep anything to herself and just had a real big mouth. Yeah. So they were like, he was like, curious that they were saying that she was like dumb because he was like she was like dim, but she like had a lot of information. It wasn't like she didn't know anything. She always knew stuff.
Right.
And then they go back to whatever, and Sirius tells them that they need to call him Snuffles when speaking about him.
Well, thank you so much, Adam. That's
it. That is the chapter.
That was something, wasn't it? I don't know. I literally, the whole time I was listening to it, I was like, what even is this?
Oh, girl, I just looked at what your chapter is next.
Which one?
We're going back to the kitchens.
Oh, no, not again. It's going to be the Drunk Winky episode.
It's Drunk Winky.
All right, well, we won't take it personally if you skip next week's episode, listeners.
I will be mentally checked out of next week's episode.
I will be checked in since I was a little mentally checked out today. What was happening? There was nothing happening. We're supposed to, there's more of the red herring of Ludo Bagman. That was happening in this chapter.
I didn't include that, because I'm over talking about Ludo fucking Bagman. Ludo Bagman is a red herring, so if you've never read this book, you can just ignore any time he comes up.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't. Nothing ever comes of it. Nothing ever comes of it.
It's so interesting that he wants Harry to win the Triwizard Tournament. It's really weird. How curious. Why does he want that?
Well, that wraps up this chapter. Next week, we'll be reading chapter 28.
Because he owes money to goblins and he bet on Harry to win, girl. That's why. There's the secret. Secret's out.
Harry Potter and the 7 different plots.
Harry Potter and the red herring. Every book is titled Harry Potter and the red herring.
Harry Potter and the many red herrings.
Yeah.
Next week we'll be reading chapter 28 called The Madness of Mr. Crouch. Thank you. Nope, we don't have a review. So no, thank you.
Did you look? I actually didn't look.
No, I didn't look, actually.
What if we're gobsmacked and we have a review?
I would be like, whoa.
How exciting would that be? We don't.
We don't. We don't. You can find the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or wherever you find your podcasts, as well as video versions on the Ampliverse YouTube channel and Spotify. As always, don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe so that we can get a perfect Newt score. 5 stars only, or else you'll be sent to Azkaban, where you'll become so despondent that you'll lose the will to live.
It's tragic.
Yeah, and I just don't really like this aesthetic, so
yeah,
it's not doing.
You'll have to ask Dementors to redo your cell.
I'll just have to see myself out. I think that's fine, right? I can just go right over here.
Could I get some paint swatches?
It's this way. Okay. I just, I really think a nice little teapot would be really cute there. Maybe we can get a little macrame for the wall. What do you think?
A macrame in Azkaban.
Also, just like the whole time, the Dementors are just like standing in the doorway. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at HBAnxious, Instagram at HBAnxious, and YouTube at The Ampliverse. We are hosted on Anchor and record on Zencastr, so thank you to both of them. And we are a proud member of The Ampliverse. Check them out at theampliverse.com. Thanks, Adam. Thank you for being a trooper through that nonsensical chapter.
You're welcome.
And as always, Knox.
Can I get just a macrame just right over here?
I'm sorry, and as always, I need a macrame right here. Just right there.
Really livens up the space. A mirror would make this feel bigger.
Oh, open it up. Yes.
Open it up.
Yeah.
Open concept cell.
Open concept cell.
I'd love a wood laminate.
Please, yes. Get a little throw pillow up here, over there. Great.
A day bed? Are we thinking
a day bed? Look.
Versatility?
A day bed.
Stupid. Okay, done.